Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Good morning, good evening, or good afternoon for everyone here, and please welcome to our presentations. First of all, let me thank you all for watching this video today. And we're making this video to fulfill the task of end semester exam in the subject of Islamic Social Finance. And we are from Group 6, and there are 4 members here. First, there is myself, Mojang, Zulfa, Amadea. Then we have Ruslan Hapid, and then Sidiq Baturrahman, and last but not least, we have Zahrani Adelia. In this video today, we're gonna talk about management and strategy collections or distributions of Zakat funds. One of the obligations ordered by Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala to humans other than prayer is pay the charity. And Zakat has been started since the Prophet Muhammad SAW migrated to the city of Medina al-Munawwarah. The Zakat is obligatory in the second year of Hijriah to coincide by the calculations of 623 AD or Anno Domini. The command to pay Zakat since it was required by the apostles has been carried out and continued by friends, caliphs, and sultans in various parts of Muslim countries and is still being carried out today. First, we're gonna talk about the Zakat management. And then there is the collections that we're gonna talk about. And at the time of the Prophet and his companions, the implementations of Zakat was carried out by the officers take Zakat from the Muzaki, or the Muzaki themselves directly submit their Zakat to the Baitul Mal. Then by the officers or Amil Zakat, it is distributed to the Mustahik, who are members of the Asnah Samaniya. It is 8 groups who are entitled to receive Zakat, and we're gonna talk about that more detail later. Second is distributions. The Zakat collected by the Zakat management institutions must be immediately distributed to the Mustahik as described in the Quran Surah At-Taubah verse 60, which is divided into 8 groups. And these groups include, first, the poor or al-fuqaro, meaning low income or indigent. This refers to those who do not own any zakatable assets nor surplus assets which equates to the nisab. And the recipients who fall in this category are extremely poor and needy people. These people don't have any possessions or income, and these are the people who live under the extreme poverty line. Next, there is the needy or al-masakin, meaning someone who is in difficulty. The needy people are the people whose earning do not cover their basic needs. According to some scholars, they are those whose economic status is worse than the needy. These are the people who do not have what is sufficient for them and their dependents. They do not have any savings, they do not have any permanent sufficient salary, they don't have any running businesses, and they do not have a compulsory support from anyone. So these people are in need of support and help. And the scholars said that they should be given the zakat money enough to suffice them and their dependents for the period of a year. In a sense, they refer to those people who do not own any zakatable asset nor surplus which equates to the nisab. Next, we have zakat administrators or amil zakat. These people are given the authority by the ruler to collect the zakat money, preserve it, and give it away to the poor. These people should be given their portions of the zakat money according to their efforts. This group is entitled to a share of zakat, a maximum of 1.8 or 12.5%, provided that this amil does his job well and spends most of his time on this task. And these officers get the zakat share only for the administrative and consumption purposes they need. And then next we have those whose hearts are to be reconciled, meaning new Muslims and friends of the Muslim community, or we usually call it mu'alaf. The zakat money should be given to them in order to bring their hearts closer to Al-Islam. increase their faith, or to be safeguarded from their criminality. If they are criminals, as long as it is known that giving them the money will stop them from their criminality. Next, we have those in bondage, or slaves and captives. It is permissible to give slaves or captives the zakat money in order to free them from slavery. This also includes freeing the Muslim captive from the hands of the enemy. Next, we have the debt-ridden or ghorimin. It is the one who carries a burden of debt upon himself and is unable to pay it falls into this category. This individual deserves to receive money to pay off his debt instead of giving the money to him. One may pay his debt directly to the one he owes and using the zakat money without giving the money to him. Why? Because the goal is just to pay his debt. Next, in the cause of God. It is for those who work on the path of Allah and strive hard so that the word of Allah will be victorious, not those who strive for their pride or their race or tribe to become victorious. And last but not least, we have the wayfarer, meaning it is those who are stranded or traveling with few resources. This is the traveler who got stuck in the middle of his journey due to lack of provisions. This individual must be given the zakat money that should cover his trip. However, it is important to note that it is not permissible for a person to carry few provisions while on a journey if one's intentions is to receive zakat money when his provisions is exhausted. So the next point we're gonna talk about is empowerment. Zakat is obligatory on wealth that develops with 5 types of assets that are obligatory and 8 groups that are entitled to receive it. And it can be confirmed that the obligations of zakat is an effort of empowerment. Moreover, the changes that are trying to be realized by zakat, namely the change of those who are entitled to zakat assets to become owners of these assets and use them in production activities. Next is the role of the state in zakat management. Zakat management in a country can be seen from its leader. If the leader is responsible, honest, trustworthy, and fair, then the management of zakat is better given to the government. But, on the other hand, if the leader is considered incompetent, it is so much better to be managed by an independent institutions. And if there are many institutions there in this country, then these institutions must synergize well, so that the distributions of zakat is right on target and the goals of zakat can be achieved. Then, we're gonna talk about zakat management organizational planning. Zakat management organizations, or ZMO, is an organization that manage public funds, namely zakat funds. ZMO has a zakat intermediary role, namely collecting funds from the muzaki community and channeling and empowering it to the mustahiq community. For regulations related to the management of zakat becomes very important. Organizational structure. Basically, the design of the organizational structure and personnel structure for the Zakat Amil Institute, or we usually call it LAZ from Lembaga Amil Zakat in Indonesian, is not regulated by the Ministry of Religions of the Republic of Indonesia. But it is regulated by each LAZ by taking into account various applicable regulations. However, the organizational structure of each LAZ will depend on the development and needs of the LAZ. Based on research data, there is an LAZ organizational structure which is simple and very complex, and the following is an example of the organizational structure of the LAZ Dompet Peduli Umat dari Tauhid. The organizational structure illustrates that the LAZ is not only a voluntary and conventional zakat management organization, but is managed professionally with the modern management principles. Marketing planning. Developing a zakat marketing strategy aims to increase this amount of obligatory zakat, because if the number of obligatory zakat increases, Automatically, the number of muzaki who distribute their zakat in amil zakat institutions will also increase. And this will help the process of zakat management and the distributions of zakat itself. If the number of obligatory zakat is still far from the target or goal to be achieved, then as an amil zakat institution, it can be said that it has not succeeded in maintaining itself as a social institution oriented towards religions and community welfare. And marketing strategies to increase the number of muzaki can be done by the several points. First is promoting through mass media, namely the internet, billboards, print, media, newspaper, magazines, and radio. For example, we can holding a contest or quiz. Contests or quizzes are one of the most powerful ways to promote your brand on social media, and this method is worth a try because your brand will get high impressions from the target market, and the involvement of your target consumers will be very high because your target market and consumers will definitely be interested in the gifts you give. Next is sharing knowledge. Besides holding a contests or quizzes, another creative way to promote something through social media is to share knowledge information about the products you sell. You can also do various creative ways to share your knowledge on social media. Next is to reach the communities. Social media is a gathering place for people, not even in social media, but for those people who have some interest of a community. The presence of these community groups can certainly be a target for business people to promote their products. But remember, one key, promotions through the community must be self-selling. Next, we're gonna talk about the increase the number of new donors. So the next point we're gonna talk about is very much interesting because we're gonna tell you about the tips or the strategy on increasing the number of new donors. First is to meet anywhere and anytime. In looking for new donors, a zakat officer or a zakat volunteer must be able to communicate well so that they are able to get acquainted with potential donors wherever and whenever. Whether it's introductions through friends or getting acquainted directly with potential donors, we meet in an activity that we participated on, it could be anything. Next is presentations of institutions and programs even to new people. In marketing the institutions to prospective new donors, the zakat officers or zakat volunteers must be able to communicate well in explaining all things related to zakat institutions, both from various programs, activities, and everything that is able to attract potential donors to be interested and willing to distribute zakat funds through amil zakat institutions. Next is actively participate in seminars, events, trainings, and party invitations where there are many people. Zakat officers or zakat volunteer must always actively participate in activities such as things that I just said about, because these events are attended by many people and Amil must be able to get acquainted with anyone who attends the event. And with these introductions, Amil can share and talk with potential donors, and Amil can be promoted about activities and programs that will be carried out by the institutions. Last but not least is to ensure the tools like business cards, brochures, zakat guides, flyers, and others, and that is always available anywhere and anytime. And yeah, it is so important in finding new potential donors using business cards, brochures, zakat guide books, flyers, and so on, because business cards and brochure can be given to prospective donors who may be interested in the zakat institutions, while the guidebook can be used to provide information on zakat guidelines to prospective donors who do not understand about zakat. So as we give in the zakat guides book, they will understand about what zakat is.